This is intergenerational. Africa must change, Africa can change, and it can only change if we change our minds, and our minds we must change. Then the Europeans came, the Portuguese came, the Spaniards came, the Germans came, the French came, the Belgians came. Africa became the hunting ground for the European colonizers. And we were the spot. We built, our ancestors built the United States of America. Our ancestors built Europe. And when slavery had lost its shine and sheen, the Europeans abolished it. But they replaced it with yet another pernicious enterprise, the colonization of Africa. The Europeans sat in Berlin, in Germany, in 1884, and they looked at the map of Africa and parceled it out. The British had their share. The Germans had their share, and Tanzania or Tanganyika was their share.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Dash Lifestyle. Kindly for watching me for the first time. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and also comment. So guys, in today's video, I want us to watch and to listen to this powerful speech from one of our African leader. He is known as Professor PLO Lumumba. Professor PLO Lumumba, he has come out and sent a warning message to Donald Trump to leave Black Americans and African alone. And also, he is revealing the evils committed by United States and the Western country towards the African countries and the black countries in the Caribbean. And also, guys, PLO Lumumba, he is sending also a warning message to our puppet, corrupt African and Caribbean leaders to change. So kindly, guys, watch this video till the end. Then I'll be back with more comment.
We'll elect our presidents. We'll elect our governors. We'll have our ministers. That will happen, but they are not bothered. After we have elected them, you'll then see them sending their arrows ahead. You'll see Bill Gates come and meet your president. You'll see Tony Blair come and meet your president. You'll see Macron come and meet your president. You'll see all of them. And then they will never admit, but they'll be told, if you want money in agriculture, behave this way. If you want money in this area, behave this way. They will never tell that to the Chinese. They will never tell that to the Indians. They will never tell that to the Vietnamese. They will never tell that to the Koreans, but in Africa, they tell us. That is why, as I speak to you now, under this new scramble, the IMF and the World Bank are back, telling you who to hire in your universities, what to sell and what not to sell. It is a sad situation. So today, as I look at Africa in that new scramble, the Chinese are here. I hope that this institution was not built by the Chinese. The Turks are here. The British are here. The French are here. The Qataris are here. The Americans are here. This time round, they are so subtle that we don't even recognize them, but they control us. What are we going to do about it in order to develop? We must do something. And if we don't do that thing else, you who have been trained in this institution, you have traveled the world. You have traveled Nigeria. There are two things that you can do with your traveling. You can marvel. Says it is great in China. You can marvel. You can wonder or feel pain. I'm urging you to feel pain. To feel pain for the continent of Africa, and in your own way, when you go out there, go and do something about it, because it has also been demonstrated that it can be done. I've traveled across this continent and I've seen that development is possible. I was in Rwanda before 1994. I was in Rwanda in 1996. Genocide. 1 million dead. Its obituary written. Will never rise, they said. You go to Rwanda now. They are demonstrating that it can be done. Go to Kigali now. See what they are doing in the health sector in their own small way. See how they are collaborating in the area of mobile telephony in their own small way. It can be done. I've been to Botswana and I've seen what they are doing in their own small way. I've been to Mauritius, see what they are doing in their own small way. And they do not have the resources that other countries have. They do not have the resources that the Democratic Republic of Congo has. And I'm giving these examples to say that indeed it can be done, and it can be done within the continent of Africa. So what we must do is to begin to pull together, you know. As I've been sitting and listening, I was also struggling to have internet in this room. And every effort was being made to connect me to internet. And all those efforts failed. Why? Because we are in an era of the Internet of Things. We are in an era of nanotechnology. It cannot be right that in the Africa's largest economy, in Nigeria, I do not have internet at an institution that deals with security. You get the point that I'm trying to make? It cannot be right. And I know why we don't have internet connectivity. It is because we are divided. We have 55 telephone access codes. Nigeria 234, Ghana 233, Kenya 254, Tanzania 255, Uganda 256, Zambia 260, Zimbabwe 263. How can we, in this day and age, you cross into Benin, you cross into Togo, you cross into Guinea-Bissau, you have a different internet connectivity. Why can't Africa have a single satellite and a single telephone code, so that when I travel from Mogadishu in Somalia to Dhaka in Senegal, like the Chinese do, like the Americans do, like the Indians do, we can have the same, because communication is critical to development. And I'm saying this, part of my agenda is to prick your conscience with live examples, that you may go out there irritated, but irritated to do the right thing. And I'm suggesting that indeed, when we talk about development, this is what we must do. But is Africa conscious of her state? Yes, Africa is conscious. This is what makes me happy. That after all these analysis, it appears to me that Africans have now recognized that going forward, we can only defeat the conspiracies, we can only have development as we are talking about it by working as a team. And that is why, beyond the Millennium Development Goals, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, we as Africans under the aegis of the African Union do now have our grand vision of Africa Agenda 2063. And that Africa Agenda 2063, let me tell you, if we can fulfill it, many of you here will be upstairs by the year 2063. But our contribution, perhaps you do not know what I mean upstairs, not up. You will be with the Lord himself. But the most important thing is that Africans are now beginning to see beyond the next election. Because part of our problem in Africa has been that we plan in 5-year circles. We don't have a grand agenda, but now we have a grand agenda. And if you look at the 7 pillars of Africa Agenda 2063, everything is covered. Health is covered. Research and science is covered. Climate change is covered. Women's participation is covered. Democracy and governance is covered. The arts and the culture are covered so that Africa can become a serious player in the international agenda. As we speak now, we are not a serious player. You know, and I say this perhaps too often, but I must repeat it because it is important. I was looking at the GDP of Indonesia. The GDP of Indonesia this year, by the end of this year, will be 1.1 trillion United States dollars. Indonesia is the 17th largest economy in the world using all critical indices. It's amongst the G20. The population is about 200 million, just about Nigeria. Nigeria is a GDP give and take at the very best of 550 billion United States dollars. I'm looking at the power generation in Nigeria. At the very best, you generate about 17,000 megawatts. You lose about half of it, so that what goes into the grid is no more than 8,000 to 7,500 megawatts into your GDP. You are the biggest economy in the world. If you look at Iran, Iran generates 75,000 megawatts. So when we talk about industrialization, we are not even close to industrialization. Look at the diversity of power generation that you have. Most of it is hydro. You are not harnessing your solar. The Kainji dams and the other dams with climate change are going to dry. If you look at the major rivers, it means that you are going to be in trouble. You look at Zimbabwe now, for example, in power generation, 2,000 or give it 2,500 megawatts. The dams are drying, the Kariba is drying. So Africa must begin to think, even as we think of Africa Agenda 2063, because energy is the game changer. Without energy, all these generators you see everywhere in Nigeria must disappear for industrialization to come. And in many African countries, including my own country, Kenya, which generates, I think we have about slightly under 3,000 megawatts. You can't. So we must go to Inga Dam, we must begin to generate. We must go to Egypt at the Aswan High. Egypt is not doing very badly. We must go to Inga, produce 40,000 megawatts. We must go to Ethiopia, the Grand Renaissance Dam, produce 10,000 megawatts. Then we talk of industrialization. And why do I talk about industrialization? There are scientists here. It is only through industrialization that we are going to be manufacturers in all sectors. As it is now, 80% of what we consume in manufactured goods are from China. If China closes shop, we are dead. We are dead. So I'm thinking that Africa Agenda 2063 is a good thing, but we must work at it. I'm thinking that Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a good thing. Launched with its secretariat in Accra, Ghana, a good thing. But how are we going to trade? How are we going to get somebody to drive a truck from Accra, Ghana to Juba or to Asmara in Eritrea without peace and security? So you can also see that peace and security is at the very heart of it. In the United States of America, and many of you are familiar, you can drive a truck from Florida through to Alberta in Canada, and it is safe. The roads are good, the security is there, I'm saying, therefore, that as we talk about development, we must think about development in a very comprehensive manner. We must ask ourselves how we govern. And I want to conclude my presentation to you by telling you that Africa must be very careful. We must be very careful because of lack of resources in Africa. I'm beginning to hear things that worry me. And because I'm a keen student of what is happening in Africa, I'm getting worried on a daily basis. The forces that divide us, the belief by many people in Africa that if we separated from our current countries, we would be better. It is beginning to happen. It is happening here in Nigeria. It is happening. I saw a letter last week addressed to the president of Zambia by a people in Zambia called Baroseland. And they are telling President Hakainde Hichilema that you remember in 1964 we had an agreement with the Lusaka government that the time has now come for Baroseland to become an independent country. Can you believe it? I hear people in Namibia saying, do you remember that there was a strip called the Caprivi Strip? I hear people in Ghana saying that you remember that in the Volta region we had a different country. I hear people in Zimbabwe saying that there should be a country called Mtuakazi. I hear people in South Africa, the South Africans, saying that we should have a separate country in the Western Cape. I hear people in Ethiopia saying we should have Tigray and Oromo. The centrifugal forces are there. And the only way to bring them in is to create a sense of belongingness. The people must feel that they are part of it. I remember the words of John Garang of South Sudan when he spoke in Khartoum. He told the Numeri government, we do not want to create a separate state, but make unity attractive. Make unity attractive, make Sudan attractive, make Khartoum attractive, because if you don't make it attractive, we will separate, and that will make us weaker. And I'm saying this because of this thing we call democracy. Democracy demands that people have a sense of belonging and that they believe that the country in which they live represents their interests and that deliberate efforts are being made in that regard. So, fellow Africans, I'm one who believes that this continent has a contribution to make. There is not a continent today that has the natural resources that this continent has. Not one. There is not a continent today that has a population as young as ours, which could be a resource. There is not a continent. There is not a continent today that has the resources in different diverse ways which can be harnessed. With a population of 1.4 billion, we are a potential market. But we must also warn ourselves. I am aware that you are talking about climate change. It is only through unity, therefore, that we can fight all these. Our rivers are drying. Lake Chad has shrunk by nearly 1/3. The rivers are drying. The climate is changing. The Sahara is coming down south. The rivers down are drying or getting polluted. Our farms are not yielding the way they were yielding before. Our seeds are being destroyed. Our young men and women are running away. And remember, the Germans are now saying, we want young people. The Canadians are saying, we want young people. We are in danger. You who have been trained in this institution, now go back to your countries and tell your countries that yes, there is a conspiracy against the continent of Africa, but the human relationship, is it not about conspiracy? Even in families, are there not conspiracies? Is it not our duty to fight and defeat those conspiracies so that that is no longer an excuse? Go out there and say that we have the possibilities and that these possibilities require and demand that we look at Africa as a total whole. Go out there in your little ways and make your contribution. The 78 of you who are graduating here today, I'm suggesting to you that development must start with you. Go back and let in every institution where you are, let it be said that since he came back from NISS, he or she is different. He is different in a positive way. And all of us who are here, whether we are politicians or academics and in different sectors, let us go out there having made a solemn vow that Africa must do it. If you can't do it for yourself, ask yourself which Nigeria you want to bequeath to your children and your children's children. You are here, maximum 40 years, you will have gone upstairs. But after 40 years, in which kind of country will you want your children to be? This is the question. It is not about you and me. It is about them. This is intergenerational. Africa must change. Africa can change, and it can only change if we change our minds. And our minds we must.
I'm telling you to be inquisitive. Africa will not grow if our young men and women are ignorant. This is my message. Ignorance is a paralyzing agent. Today, when I drive through the streets of Kampala, I see Chinese making roads. Don't we have Ugandan engineers? Why are they making roads? If we have Ugandan engineers, your own president, whom I respect, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was in Bali yesterday, launching 15 companies. If you look at the photographs in the Uganda New Vision, and the monitor, the president is accompanied by Chinese. Africans are clapping. That tells you there is something wrong. And the president spoke yesterday about banning second-hand clothing, and he was right. Up till now, we've been buying clothes that are discarded by other civilizations. What others have rejected, we embrace. Your generation must not be in that space. That is why we are talking about talent here today. And it's a choice you must make. Now to my story, then I sit down. You are young Africans at a very interesting time in the history of Africa. It is at a time when Africa and the world are talking about the 4th industrial revolution and the 5th industrial revolution. We are talking about internet and the Internet of Things. We are talking about artificial intelligence. We are talking about those things because the continent of Africa can only grow if our young men and women take charge. And taking charge means that you are in a position to compete with the world. You are here in Makerere, Uganda. You are not competing with Ugandans. You are competing with Koreans. You are competing with Japanese. You are competing with Chinese. You are competing with the world. The question is, are you prepared? And if you are not prepared, then you will be subdued. And when you are subdued, you will be enslaved. And when you are enslaved, you will be humiliated. The choice is yours. What is brought to you today is to help you very early on to identify what you are best at. Many students in this generation and the generation that we belong to pursued career paths because your father or mother wanted to be doctors and they could not be doctors, so they fulfilled the ambition through you. They wanted to be engineers or accountants or lawyers. The time is now for you to wake up and make Africa proud. Today, my challenge to you as young Africans is to embark on a journey of self-discovery, because it is that self-discovery that will make you realize who you are. And when you know who you are, then you can be a good agent for change, for your society, for your country, and for the continent. The choice is yours. I'll tell you a small story, then I sit down. How many of you here have heard of a great African called James Emmons Kwejiragri? This is a university, so I expect you to know James Emmons Kwejiragri. How many have heard of him? That is an indictment of the education that you are going through. James Emmons Kwejiragri, normally referred to as Agri of Africa, was the first African head of a famous school in Ghana called Achimota. How many of you have heard Achimota College? How many of you have heard of Kwame Nkrumah? Kwame Nkrumah went to Achimota College, and one of his teachers was James Emmons Kwejiragri. James Emmons Kwejiragri, whom you will find out about, used to tell a story. And the story is of a poultry farmer. And the story is of the chicken reared by this poultry farmer straying into the bushes. And when they come back, among the chicks there is a chick of an eagle. And they are reared over time. The eagle being fed with chicken feed like all the other chicks. One day, Emmons Kwejiragri says, a naturalist comes and sees the eagle and says, but this is an eagle. And the farmer says, I know it is an eagle, but we have fed it on chicken feed for too long. It is no longer an eagle. And the naturalist said, no. When you are an eagle, whether you are fed on chicken feed, you never change your character. He tries to make the eagle fly, and it cannot fly. It refuses to fly. And the poultry farmer tells him, I told you it was once an eagle. It has been fed on chicken feed for too long. It lost its eaglehood. It is now chicken. He comes the following day in the morning and he places it in the palm of his hand and urges it to go as it faces the sun, and it flies away. And the naturalist looks at the poultry farmer and tells him, I told you. Once you are an eagle, no matter how long you've been fed on chicken feed, you never lose your eaglehood. You could be the chicken that have been fed on the eagle that have been fed on chicken feed for too long, but you are still eagles. So today, this talent that we are talking about is meant to make you realize that you are eagles. And when you are an eagle, you will soar in the skies. And when you are chicken, you will be eaten. So the choice is yours, you young Africans. Are you going to discover your talent that you may soar like the eagle? Or you are going to be chicken? Choose you now what you want. As for me, I'm urging you, if Africa is to be great, it is you. It is you. There was a young girl who was here, who was the program director. This young girl, come. She's only 21. I'm not a Jewish prophet and I'm not related to one. But if she continues on this path, watch her.
Watch me.
Watch her. Because she has made a decision and she is confident. Confidence is half the journey. Fortune favors the vigilant. You can't win the lottery if you didn't buy the lottery ticket. She has. Follow her path. Talent is here. Take time. Find out whether you are a round pole in a square hole or vice versa. Find out what you are good at. Find out what you can be best at. Because history has taught us that those who believe in themselves change the world. Hence the Kiswahili saying, jishinde, ushinde. Conquer yourself that you may conquer. I wish you the very best in the knowledge that you will not let us down. God bless.
So guys, I hope you have watched that powerful speech from one of our African leader, Professor PLO Lumumba. I really love to bring Professor PLO Lumumba in this channel because is that one of our African, is a Pan-Africanism whereby he loves to speak about Africa and also he loves to fight the rights of the black people wherever they are. He's fighting the rights of the black Americans, the black people in the Caribbean and also African people. We have seen Professor PLO Lumumba. He has come out and sent a warning message to Donald Trump to leave black Americans alone and the black people in the United States alone, because we have seen how the black Americans, they are being treated in United States. These people, they are really suffering. These people, they are being given less opportunity. These people, they are now oppressed. There is a lot of racism towards black American, and that's why our professor, he's coming out and send a warning message to Donald Trump and the Western country to leave black people and African people alone. And also our professor, he has come out and revealed the evils committed by United States and the Western country during colonization period. We saw what happened to our African people. These people, they are the ones who came here in Africa. They captured our people. They went with them. These people, our black people, they were not willing to go in United States. They were not willing to go in the Caribbean. But these people, they took them by force. They enslaved them and they took them away from Africa to this to the Western country. So because of that, we saw these people, they destroyed a lot of families. Yeah, these people, they destroyed a lot of family. And also up to date, we are still having some of the families, they are still having the memories of what happened during colonization period. And yet these people, they have denied to pay slavery reparation to us black people. You can imagine some of the families, they are having the scars of slavery. They are having the memories of what happened to their ancestors, their forefathers during slavery, and yet these people, they have not paid them, they have not paid this family for the damages that they did. So this is to tell you that our professor is coming out and revealing all the evils that these people, they committed to us black people. And also our professor, he's coming out and sending a warning message to our African leaders, because you know these people, they are still here in our country up to date because of our leaders, because majority of our African leaders, they have been turned into puppet. Yeah, not only in Africa, also in some countries in the Caribbean, their leaders, they have been turned into puppet. Their leaders, they are sellout leaders. They are selling out their country. They are selling out their minerals. They are selling out their resources. So you can imagine a leader is selling out their country for the resources of the country. and the people they are not benefiting. You can see what it is happening in Nigeria. These people they are having oil. Nigeria needs to be that rich country in Africa, but Nigeria it is not the richest country in Africa because their leaders they are now selling out their resources. You can imagine we are still having some of the Nigerians people they cannot access the oil which it is in their country. They are not seeing the benefiting of them having these healthy, these wealthy resources in their country because their leaders they have been turned into a sellout leaders. Their leaders they are corrupt. So our professor is coming out and also sending a warning to tell these leaders that you need to change. These people they are still in our country because of you. These people they are calling our country the poor country because of these puppet and corrupt leader, while our country we know very well our African continent it is the richest continent in the earth because we have minerals, we have oil, we have our resources, we have our country, it is our land, our soil, it is rich, but our leaders they are making it to be poor. So it is now the right time for us black people to push our leaders to kick out these leaders who they are still puppet, these leaders who they are still selling out our country. That is one of the reasons also to why I really love Professor PLO Lumumba, because he doesn't have any fear. He will tell you the truth. If you are a corrupt leader, he will be tell you the truth. In fact, PLO Lumumba he came out and point some of a few corrupt leaders in Africa. For example, the president William Ruto, the president of Kenya, also is a really corrupt and he's a sellout leaders. So PLO Lumumba is that one of our Pan-Africanism, whereby he is going all over the continent of Africa, pointing and calling out those corrupt leaders. And because of that, I really love to bring his speeches in this channel, because it is now the right time for us black people to kick out the Western country. It is the right time for us black people to also question our leaders, why our leaders they are not working according to the will of the people, because we have seen one of our African president Ibrahim Traore, what he is doing. So Ibrahim Traore, he has been able to do a lot of things in his short period of time being a president, because the Western people they are not happy with what Ibrahim Traore is doing, because Ibrahim Traore he has managed to remove the colonizers in his country. He has changed the colonizer system. He has managed to cut out the relationship of the Western people with his country, simply because the Western people they were benefiting a lot from their country, while their citizens they were not benefiting from their country. So because of that, the Western people they are not happy with Ibrahim Traore. Right now, Ibrahim Traore is being targeted. They want to bring him down. Ibrahim Traore he has survived around 10 assassination attempts. So this is tell you also our leaders, if they are becoming brave enough, the Western people they want to bring them down, because the Western people they love those leaders who they will control, those leaders who they will be a sellout leaders. Those are the leaders that the Western people they love, because if you are not following their rules, if you are not becoming a puppet to them, they will come and finish you. But Ibrahim Traore he has come out and prove to us that we can also still survive with these people there, with the assassination attempt to those our brave leaders. We have seen our brave leaders who they were championing for, who they are working according to the will of the black people, being assassinated with the Western people. When they see your leaders is becoming brave, they will come and assassinate that leader. So this is tell you that also these Western people they need to get out of our country. I know these people they cannot survive with Africa. Yeah, these people they cannot survive with Africa. That's one of the things, that's one of the reasons to why they don't want to leave Africa, and that it is one of the reasons why they don't want to make Africa as the richest continent, because they know if Africa will be the richest continent, they will lose their value, because these people they don't have nothing to trade it with Africa. Yeah, these people they only have papers, money. Yeah, they don't have minerals, they don't have gold, they don't have oil. So what these people they have, it is money, and that it is one of the things that these people they manage to confuse us black people with. We black people, we are trading our gold with money, a paper. These people they have put a value in a paper so that we black people we can give out our gold, our diamond, our minerals, our oil, and these people they are giving us paper. We Africans people, we black people, we need to reason, we need to change. These people, we are giving them our resources. They are going in their country with our resources. They are processing it in their country. While they are processing it, they are creating more jobs to their children. They are creating more jobs in their country. Yeah, with our resources. You can see, after creating more jobs to their children, they are coming now back and selling these minerals that we have sold to them as a final product to us black people. Then we are giving them their money. So we black people, we need to change. We need to process our minerals here in our country so that also us black people we can also create more jobs, so that us black people we cannot go to their country, because majority of us black people we usually go out of our country to look for green pasture in this Western country, but yet we know it is our resources that it is making this country to have more jobs. So we need to change that. Our leaders, they need to come out and start to work and create more jobs to us black people. So kindly guys, thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't, like this video, share, and also comment. One love, let's unite black people. Share this video, and also most importantly, like this video, because when you like, according to the YouTube algorithm, it will spread, it will recommend this video to a lot of people. Thank you so much guys.